I don't mean to interfere or, however you start out, kind of break the ice and just say, but did it occur to you or does it occur to you that you are actually maliciously nudging or hitting Elaine? And is this what you, Tom, really want to do? Or is this what you, Elaine, want to expect the next time? And if you don't expect it, even if you say the third or fourth or fifth time, don't ever do that again, it may be too late to simply declare in your, I hate to say this word, but in this inferiority way, already having taken the position and the role playing of a subordinate, yelling out, I'm declaring that you can never do that to me again. It may be too late. It may have to have intervention of counseling or whatever. I know it's 25 years later, it's, I promise you, a lot more difficult for a Tom Sawyer to even realize that, never mind the immediate justification of there was nothing else I could do, she was going crazy, smashing things, I had to hit her. Or I had to grab a hold of her to stop her from hurting somebody else. Or, it was a scenario that I'm making up. I don't want to give you the idea that it's ever come to that bad regarding anybody. But it does. It does for ordinary people. And at that point, it's almost ridiculous to stop and try to consider preventing that. So when it comes to that acceptance or rejection, and again, almost a good versus evil, meaning negative attitudes and their effect on people and the effect on yourself and the people around you, and how is that promulgated? How is that built on? How is that continued compared to our ability at any time at all? Even in intolerable situations, emergency situations. Now, for instance, if I were to fracture Elaine's skull or something like that, that would be an emergency situation that possibly could have been a catalyst for me to say, oh my God, what have I done? Or what am I doing is even a better way of realizing it. What am I doing? This was never my intentions. This is not who I want to be. And that sometimes, rarely, but sometimes works. But more properly, an attitudinal change toward, which is available to everybody all the time. In other words, inside your mind or any one of our minds say, well, this to me is some kind of a game. Never mind the sarcastic attitude that this isn't real, that it's a game. No, it's very real. It's a real game. And that the rules for this game are that you escalate in an argument, I yell, and you shut up. And that can be construed as because it's repeated over and over again over a period of years and developed and promulgated that, well, guess what? This is ridiculous. Why am I yelling at somebody I love? Or why am I yelling in front of myself? I don't want people around me yelling, so why am I doing it? I'm not doing myself what I want to be like. And then just saying in your mind, what can I do about this? Well, one of the easiest things to do is change the rules of the game. This is right in self-help books. I even think there's a book called The Games People Play.
Right.
Not sure the author or whatever. And there's a lot of those books. You can almost pick up any one of them and hear some of this general philosophy as to what to do about it. But what people usually don't do is apply it to the most simplistic parts of their life. In other words, attitude.
Right. Daniel often uses that example of having two dogs pulling on a rope. And if one of them doesn't pick up the other end of the rope, there's no struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And in human relationships, if somebody just keeps throwing that rope out to you,
sure,
just tempting you and testing you,
it becomes an obligation to pick that rope up. In other words, it's expected to continue the game, which, if you have the ability to suddenly look at it as an outsider from outside yourself, you see, what is this game that I'm playing and why? And what does it accomplish?
What would happen with a couple if they were really, going at a real good fight, and instead of walking over and slapping somebody, you walked over and put your arms around them? That's a change of attitude. Right,
it's a change of attitude, but now here's what's important, because this is okay, I hear you, Tom, philosophizing and so on, but damn it all, I'm pissed at my husband today, and I can't do this right now. as it develops and the game is really well established, the degree of familiarity. I mean, come on, this is just Elaine. I can talk to her any way I want. She knows what I mean. All right. Boy, I've learned a lot in the last couple of years. All right, just regarding that, the degree of familiarity, be careful of having over expectations. Something that has taken you months, weeks, years. In my case, I'm talking about something that took 25 years or more to develop. You're not going to suddenly be in there, yeah, well, I don't like your attitude either. What did you say? In other words, you don't dare miss a word of it. What did you say? And then I suddenly go, oh, here I go. I know, I'm going to go over and hug her. And, the attitude involved is correct.
Right.
But then the grassroots, realistic facilitation, you go over try to hug, you're probably going to get a sore jaw.
Yeah.
In other words, or somewhere, the initial reaction, don't try to hug me. I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And again, she can't recognize, they can't recognize, you can't recognize an attitudinal change most often. You've got to develop that. You've got to show it in a subtle enough way at first. And then, and look, here's a little seed. This is attitudinal change is a seed. Don't say, there's the seed, look at all the flowers.
Yeah.
I mean, don't expect rainbows and butterflies and flowers.
Yeah.
That's got to be nurtured. It's got to be developed. And then in a period of time. And sure, shown, tested.
Yeah.
In other words, just to say something, try something like, in other words, more subtle degree. Bill, Pete, Jim, or Ann, Sally, or whomever, or darling, or sweetheart, or snowflake. We argue as often as we argue, or I understand that you have a point of view, but I don't want to just continue this negativity or this argument. Or if you wish to, write down your most important point of view, and I'll write down mine, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow or next week. I mean, as silly as that sounds, like little chat, write it down. I mean, but seriously,
Right.
I mean, how many one of us right now, does anybody watching this film, is taking the pad and your worst complaint or your worst situation or intolerable, write it in sentence form. And you can even write damn it and stuff, but the 4-letter words, write it out however you want, set it off to the side, don't let anybody see it, but then you yourself only reread it the next day. Because you're going to be in a different attitude, a different frame of mind, and it can either totally lose its significance, meaning this is just a built up deal of stress and I have to ventilate, so I called you a jerk because you stubbed your toe, or something normal, or you dropped a dish and I just say, damn it, I can't stand all the sentences that follow that. It really had nothing to do with the immediate incident. Attitudes. I'm listening to myself, and it's becoming more and more important, more and more involved. What was the thing you just mentioned that we should talk about? And it was more into the reality of the relationships. It was even give examples of like some of the people in the audience here and us right here. Without giving intimate or private details, but scenarios that people associate with. We already said regarding like escalative type arguments.
Well, I was talking about being in a job situation where whenever somebody comes up to you, you mirror their attitude instead of keeping centered in your own, so that if somebody comes up that's angry or sad or whatever, you keep taking on their emotions rather than being a central point that can turn a whole work situation around just by staying positive.
Yeah, a lot of examples like that. But I think that most everybody can understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
What about if you're having a discussion and the one person has an opinion and another person has a different opinion? It's not opposite or bad or anything, it's just different, and yet the first person won't accept it because they think that if you're not with me, you're against me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really tough situation.
Well, it's tough, and generally, without zeroing in on specific details, generally, because I've certainly been in that circumstance with Elaine. I mean, she's this very lovely third generation Italian American, and I never stereotype. But, and so I'm off in my own little world and so on. And she has every bit as much right to an opinion that, well, gee, that's abnormal. And I'm looking at her thinking, you are abnormal. And it's the word we throw out so often, normal and abnormal. Honesty is one of the things that works at all, but to give that person some degree of satisfaction, the quick little statement say, well, I appreciate your opinion and I appreciate your right to have a different opinion than mine. But again, say another sentence or two. Say, I'm trying to think of an example. Say, well, I don't feel as though your opinion is mine, and we're not going to be able to convince each other as to its reality, and it's something that I don't feel as though I can compromise. And then even put in the question form, do you think it's possible at all that you might compromise? I mean, did you ever stop to think of asking your partner or your friend that you're disagreeing with, I don't feel as though I can compromise regarding this information or this situation or something. Do you think you could? So you're not telling them to compromise with you. You're asking them very bluntly. There's some, yeah, that's
Well,
tough.
you know what I get? You know what you get back? Bullshit.
Mhm.
And then of course you drop it because it's going to escalate
Well, then-
into something terrible.
Right, and then at that moment, you really should drop it.
Yeah, like
At that moment. And then again, now here I'll bring up one example. Drop it and go away privately and even secretly and write it down. That was in the simplest form, in the simplest sentence. And it's not to, like the next day, wave it in front of the person, but possibly, well, one of the things that I used once regarding something similar to that was I went to a restaurant, and in the restaurant, I said, we had a disagreement a couple of weeks ago, and it was something that we have a difference of opinion in. And you're trying to convince me your way, and I'm trying to say that your way is unacceptable, and my way is the only acceptable way. And what should we do about that? And, in other words, can we peacefully coexist, not ever solving this? Those the things that are unsolvable.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, agree. That's good.
yeah, it's good.
Agree to disagree. Can we peacefully coexist? And then there are situations in people's lives where two individuals will not be able to feel comfortable with their disagreement. And that's when you seriously have to consider yourself in your relationship. I mean, don't always say, well, I'm not sure about my relationship because he or she. I mean, no, that's when you have to really deal as best you can with your participation in your relationship. In other words, really investigate thoroughly what is it in you that makes this a priority? What is it in you that makes you that you cannot give in? Is it just absolutely against your cultural conditioning? Because attitude can change that. Is it against your morality? Well, attitude can change some of those things, but there's an example where your morality, there's that line, that specific line, in fact, morality regarding sexuality. In other words, if a person, never mind if it's based on a psychological inadequacy or not, but if in their mind they say that I will not do this type of sexual activity, and whether you like it or not, you have to give in to that person. I mean, any other compromise is a form of rape. And I'm not just talking about sexual copulation. I'm talking about a certain way of kissing or anything, any kind of physical contact, things of that nature. Right. And if that's when I had a difficult time with things like that because, I mean, just get into this little aspect of it because I was always able to manipulate or convince Elaine that it's either okay or this is something that I want. And are you willing to please me?
Right.
But manipulatively so. In other words, it was one-sided. It was Elaine giving in to, she loved me enough to give in to me. And then I experienced the desire and in other words, the treat, if you will, of having her do that, never experiencing that she's doing something that she didn't want to do. And that's not love. It may possibly be a distorted form of lust or something of that nature. And did it devastate us? Well, it might not have devastated Elaine. And then I was so off in my own cloud or whatever that I had no measurements toward that. I mean, after all, I won.
Yeah.
Or I was successful, if you will. But on an ongoing basis, what was that doing to Elaine, or what did that do for Elaine? And it can range anywhere from, well, no, I really do love him, and if he needs this or wishes this, then this will make me happy doing it. So subtle that it's not that important, and then that's okay. But it can range the other extreme, that this is really going against her general morality. That's a good example of it. And yeah, again, the word compromise always comes up. But something that is, where you can draw a specific line and so on, where there might not be able to be a compromise made, or even okay, I'll give in to you this way. If regarding the car, you'll let me, those bargains can be worked out. And that might work that day or for the trade-off. Okay, I'll do this if you'll do this. Because sometimes we have to pay for some of the things we want, either intellectually or money or all of it. And a deal of that works initially, but then don't count on that every time, because again, what are you doing? You're setting up a pattern, an inadequate, unequal pattern, and there is usually selfishness in there. Now, again, I can use so many examples of myself that I can see it now as a selfish part of me, the dictionary definition, me for myself. And well, will you do this time, or can I have that much money? I mean, after all, I don't spend that much, or never mind the justification of it, but will you give in to me this time, and then set up a pattern that is really selfish, and it's harmfully selfish.
So simplistically, it all comes back down sort of to the golden rule, in a way, of treating people the way you want to be treated.
Another thing that, and I mean, I'm talking you and me and Lynne and anybody else who's listening, one of the things that I see that's so, and I'm talking about myself, those directly from my own personal experiences regarding me, and then also observation of sometimes personal and intimate details of other people, is that what? I'm losing my train of thought. Is that we don't test. I'm losing my train of thought. I can't believe this.
It's in terms of treating people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, because it was a spin-off of the golden rule.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, to cover myself, I'll just say that regarding the golden rule, I mean, that's people say that real quickly. Do unto others as you do unto them. And, they don't
realize how basic that is.
Right. They don't really apply that, like, inside themselves. And, would I wish to meet right now myself? And if I said, well, yeah, with a shrug of the shoulders, say, all right, hold it right there. Now that you've hesitated or say, well, yeah, I'm still okay, but you didn't say, oh, I would love it. And that's the key right there, to say, wait a minute, what is the difference between myself that would be okay and what would be needed for me to say, oh, I would just anticipate and love the opportunity to meet a me, or somebody identical to me or myself in a spiritual mirror, and say, well, because it's just me being normal, and that's okay. I mean, I'm okay. But then who was the person that you met that was just so much more exciting to be with than the way you're thinking about yourself right now? Say, well, I was with Mike McGinnis at Sedona, and he was just so vivacious. I mean, I've got a sore back, and I had to kind of hunch around. But he was like Say, well, wait a minute now. Never mind the sore back in Tom Sawyer and the good physical physique of Mike McGinnis and being so open to so many things, a compliment to himself, or that I'm giving to him right now. And that, but what did you see? What was the first thing you experienced? Oh, well, his smile. Well, wait a minute. Maybe one of the things about you right now or me right now is that I'm okay. And yeah, I wouldn't mind meeting myself. But gee, if I really smiled genuinely, wouldn't I rather meet myself much more? I mean, as simple as that sounds, even in the middle of a escalative type argument, and you're a bigger jerk, and say, wait a minute, now if I was like this frozen, would I want to meet this person? And if I'm trying to form a love relationship with my spouse, partner, friend, or my work proteges, or the guy that you're least likely to want to be with, would I want to look this way? Would I want to have this attitude? And right away, so you kind of like sober up as you think about it right now. And you say, well, actually, no, I would prefer to be a little bit more intellectual, or never mind the intellect, a little more spiritual, or a little more spontaneous. In others, never mind always being correct. How about being spontaneously? I mean, how about screwing up spontaneously and being able to laugh about it?
Yeah.
And being able to say the next day, boy, did I ever make a mistake. I mean, you realize how stupid I got or silly I got. And you never mind the name so much, but I mean, I find a great deal of joy recently making mistakes in Elaine's kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way I said it on purpose, first of all, it's always been Elaine's kitchen. Well, Elaine has a full-time job, and I've been a little handicapped in home, therefore making official meals and doing things in the kitchen. And I mean, the amount that I've changed in just the last couple of months has allowed me to laugh hysterically at the stupid, silly, dumb things that I've done in Elaine's kitchen. And I mean, sometimes it's been really hysterically funny because the macho Tom Sawyer, instead of being honest enough to laughingly share with Elaine, I gotta get rid of this mess and hide it and everything else, and then say, I better have it nice and neat and then just tell her about it rather than to. Yeah, that's one of them trade-offs where, can I ever expect Elaine to be completely spontaneous? Of course not. Never expect her to be always intellectual or very intellectual. No, I wouldn't want to. And that isn't what originally attracted me to Elaine. I mean, granted, some of the original attractions for me and Elaine was that here's this cute, sweet, adorable girl who I can protect and manipulate, but I mean in a loving way, and take care of and teach and show. And I mean, that was some of the original attraction to her. And wait a minute, is there anything more that I can do toward that original attraction which will enhance her life? And the answer for every one of us is yes. Because in any one of our relationships that we want to say, oh, I want you and Bill or Bob and Pete and Mike or Gene to be just exactly like anybody else, including yourself in your personal relationships.
So I guess even when you think of attitude on a global level or a national level or right down to your own living room, it's all the same thing. And sometimes I think when we got out to Sedona and people were saying, well, what big wow, bam, magnificent thing is going to happen to make this be meaningful? And sometimes I think with a lot of them, it was something on the most personal level that made.
The little phrase, expect a miracle. I saw that on a postcard. A young girl made this beautiful postcard or a greeting card. And it was actually a picture of a baby buggy, but it was done very celestially. And it says, expect a miracle. And wow, that hit me so, I don't want to say hard, meaning bad or negative, but it hit me so many ways, like how wonderful to expect a miracle. But wait a minute, how dare me, Tom Sawyer, ever, by God or via God, expect a miracle? I mean, how selfish, how actually stupid expected. There's all the different ways that you can interpret that phrase. But then on the other hand, wait a minute, don't have any less of an expectation for anything that you do or say, or an attitudinal change without expecting the very best.
That's the most
And I mean,
wonderful.
everything less than the very best that you compromise on, that is your free will bringing onto yourself
Limiting
less
what?
than the best, limiting, and less than the very best. And again, this isn't for the purposes of laying blame either. It's for the purpose of realization. Actions to be made real. Let's say one more thing. Glad you
We
asked.
got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I asked what you wanted to say. Okay.